Okay, did you, okay, good. You can start.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and very good morning to Mr. Hakim. My name is Nur Izzati and my other team members, Rabia, Durga, and Nur Fatira. And for this assignment, our group chose Imperial Logistics near Berhad, um, uh, which is the logistic and supply chain company. So I'm going to start with the objective of this project. Okay. Through this task, we're able to analyze the business strategy and what strategy they are using to survive in this industry. As we all know, the import-export industry is one of the biggest industry involving countries trade from others in order to increase and improve the economic growth and be developed country like US and Australia. And we also gain knowledge on how we keep on business to keep running on track and how they communicate and interact with a relationship with other people from various countries to cooperate in exporting and importing goods. And through this assignment helps us to identify and understand the gaps within the industry. And these gaps between industry has pros and cons for the company to stay strong in business in the long term. And nowadays we can see a lot of business, service provider in the industry competing with each other and to be number one consumers choice. Some of them survive, some of them fail. A strategy that chose by a company is important to uh, to implement in their business, which will lead the company future to gain success or failure. We also have opportunity to demonstrate our problem solving skills, and this assignment required us to produce and provide in-depth analysis of the company. We can analyze the strategy uh, that gives a lot of advantage and good for the business. There are some ways to identify and build strategies in order to improve business. Next slide. Fatira?
Okay, next is for the summary. Through this interview, we able to gain more knowledge on the services provided by the company. We also able to understand the differences and the importance of the logistics and supply chain management. And therefore, during our interview sessions with Ms. Mohana, we can conclude that the information that we receive is full and content. We able to understand the gaps within the industry. And other than that, Imperial Logistics Sdn Berhad also provides end-to-end complete logistic guidance from implementation research to preparation. The international sea freight offered by them is containerized service, the breakdown of bulk shipping, and the transshipment shipping. They also offer international air freight service such as consolidation and chartering services. The company also provide additional services such as custom clearance, multimodal transport, warehousing, storage, and packaging services, consulting services, import documentations for exports, and door-to-door and port cargo movement. Next.
So for the company background, the Imperial Group of Company deliver effective and quality freight since 2000. Imperial Logistics Sdn Berhad is owned by Datuk B. Kumarasamy, which is which registered in 2019 under Associations of Malaysian Hauliers (AMH). The Imperial Logistics Sdn Berhad has advanced beyond the traditional role of simply providing vehicles and cargo handling equipment to move products and goods from one destination to other. And Emperor Logistics also has a strong presence globally with international agents all around the globe, which makes them one of the successful company in shipping and import-export industry. And they also own shipping and forwarding office, which is located at Banda Botanic. And they have house monitoring system, haulier management system, HMS for job control. And with HMS, they're able to monitor shipment movement, which connects it to Emperor haulier service on the container movement and delivery information. And with HMS, their filling system and job retrieval has has made easy to access the jobs. Next. Okay, so I'm going to explain about the industry background. The Imperial Logistic Shipping and Forwarding Sdn Bhd focus on logistic and supply chain management. They also provide end-to-end total logistic guidance from analysis to implementation and training. They provide international sea freight like containerization service, breakbulk service, and transshipment service. And they also provide international air freight such as consolidation service and chartering services. And other additional services provided by them are custom clearance, multimodal transport, road, sea, and air, warehousing, storage and packaging, consultancy service, import-export documentation, and port cargo movement. So next slide. And the facility currently available include a well-maintained fleet of 24 prime movers and 97 trailers. Emperor Logistics are linked with both major ports in Port Klang, which is Westport and Northport of Malaysia. And Emperor Logistics also provide and offer full container load FCL and less container load LCL sea freight service to meet customer shipping needs in terms of their exportation and importation. Next. Thank you.
Fatira, open your speaker, please.
Sorry. For findings is actually the company respond. Through our interview, Mrs. Mohana have pointed out the so is anybody talking? Are you talking to me?
No, continue.
Okay. Findings is actually the company respond. Through our interview, Ms. Mohana have pointed out the strength of the company. So first is through recruitment. Emperor Logistics recruitment and selection practices are very tight. Recruits target promising applicants by proper written training and interviewing. The written portion contains questions which consist of questions about general knowledge and basic knowledge. And through the question can also vary according to department in question. Second, the company provided low price service with good quality. Emperor Logistics offers customers good quality at the right time, low price service. Talented management team and drivers provide the product with good communication and discipline. Good quality services attract more customers and expand the range of companies. And next, Emperor Logistics also provide a clear communication between employee and employer. For clear communications to the employees of the management team is practiced in Emperor Logistics. They have a service policy book that they send to any employee. The documents include essential articulation and covers all workers supported by the organization. This is very valuable for both the workers and the employers because it eliminates incentives for misinterpretation, prejudice, and others. And lastly is through training. Emperor Logistics emphasize workforce preparations and development to upgrade the employee continuously. This is beneficial for both the company and the employee as the organizations attracts more professional workers and employees are able to establish themselves and better themselves. Next slide.
Okay.
No, not yet. This one. Compare. Okay, on the comparison, the conventional ways in which the supply chain is handled could have changed forever as COVID-19 brings increased understanding of its fragility. Each shipper, carrier, and logistic managers appreciates that a major paradigm shift for future procurement and inventory management will occur. While just-in-time delivery of shipments with tight inventory to sales ratios were prioritized for lowering the cost and efficiency of carrying, and COVID-19 may shift the focus toward a more conservative inventory supply strategy for security. Shippers and logistics administrators should mitigate some of the risks that they face with the COVID-19 supply bottlenecks with proper preparation. And next, during the COVID-19 outbreak, container shipping operators realized that container fleets could quickly become imbalanced and that reliance on cargo flows from a few countries could jeopardize the supply chain. And third, shortage of containers is now considered one of the most significant risks for recovery from the economic challenges of COVID-19. This is mainly due to impediments to the country's borders flow that have occurred due to strict quarantine measures. Shippers have also realized how overdependence on key primary suppliers to China can create significant revenue stream risk. And next, just-in-time network designs can turn into a thing of the past. Retailers and suppliers around the world will now have to consider adequate contingency, such as excess inventory, supply, and network integrity. And lastly, businesses will not lower the certification requirements for new vendors with products quality at stake. And next is Rabia.
Okay, moving on to part B. In this part, I will be explaining about the similarities and differences that exist between the theoretical and practical field of this industry. The main conclusion or the main discussion that I will be discussing is based on the interview produced by Mrs. Mohona and from their websites and from other articles as well. So to conclude, there are many similarities between the practical and theoretical field of logistics. Among these similarities are the general ideas or the general conception of the application of the processes and the organization process, where the planning, controlling, and leading are the same, has the same concept. What they differ at is the details at which a company practice a different method or a different way to implement this strategy or that. But they have the same concept, the same structure through the theoretical and practical field. Moving on, one of the most important similarities is that between the theoretical and practical field is the delivery procedures and documentations. All the documentation required by the governments or by the bodies are similar that we have studied in classes that we can find in the books, and they actually practice according to Mrs. Mohona. Moving on to the second similarities, which is the overall ideas related to export and import. Of course, in classes or in theory, we study the process of exporting and importing. We know how the goods move from country to another. And similarly, the practical field has the same idea, but as I mentioned, the details and the process at which this process conducted is various from one company to another company based on their experience and their time in that area. Moving on to the standardized codes, one of the important similarities that exist between theoretical and practical field is the codes according that produced by the International Commercial Chamber. which has the Incoterms. These terms, they are internationally applied, so we can study them in theory. We can find them also in practical field, as proved by Mrs. Mohona. Uh, of course, another similarities is the guidance or the follow of international rules and regulations. The thing that you study in theory about the rules and regulations that every company must follow are the same that in the practice and also in theory. Whatever changes is some of these regulations change from one country to another, but in the same country, the theoretical and practical rules or regulations are the same being applied by the company. Moving on to the differences. Of course, there are many essential differences that exist between theoretical and practical field, and that is completely logical because the theoretical and practical field has their different attributes, different features that make them unique at themselves. One of the most important differences is the level of precision and complexity that exists in the practical field. Of course, as mentioned by Mrs. Mohona, the level of precision and complexity that they apply or they require from their employees is very high. While in the theory, you might study some theories or study some knowledge that can be modified or adjusted according to your own desire. In practice, you cannot change these things. You have to follow certain guidance and certain policies produced by the company in order to fulfill the requirements of customers and in order to satisfy them. Moving on to another differences that exist between the practical and theoretical field is that in practical field, you always learn new things. There is always new things to learn. You are not complete yet, and you will never be complete or prepared enough to face the challenges. The challenges are in a daily basis. As Mrs. Mohona said, they face a daily basis challenges. For example, the COVID-19 issue, they have never studied in theory. They have never heard about it in theory. But now they actually shock when they face this problem, so that they have to be flexible enough to adjust to these changes. While in the theory, the knowledge has been produced a few years ago, it has been proven, has been discussed, so it is fixed knowledge. While in the practice, it is change and it is dynamic knowledge that require continuous improvement. Another main difference that exists between the practical field and the theoretical field is that in the practical field, or where every company has their own secrets of success, as explained by our interviewer, there are some secrets that they have that differentiate them from other companies. There are many companies exist in Malaysia nowadays, but what makes the Emperor Logistics different from other companies? These business secrets, and these business secrets, you cannot get them from the theoretical study of the logistic field. You have to get them through experience, through hard working, and through the practical knowledge. And that's one of the most important differences that exist between the theoretical and practical field. Another main difference is the ability to adapt with new technologies. Of course, the practical field should have the ability to adjust and to adapt with the new technologies and new procedures produced by the governments. Because in practical, you cannot say, I have never heard about this, or I cannot adjust to this, or I have been applying this software or running this software for a few years now. If you do that, or you're being stubborn, you're gonna lose your business. And the market is very competitive that you have to update your systems, update your procedures according to the policies and regulations produced by the governments in order to sustain in the market and in order to maintain your certificate of conducting business. Another thing, another main difference between theoretical and practical field is flexibility. Of course, just logically enough, there is a certain level of flexibility exists in the practical field, where you don't have to follow the theoretical steps step by step. You can actually jump from step 1 to step 10 according to the situation itself. While in the theory, you actually know that while you study, you have to follow a certain procedures. You have to follow them and memorize them the way they are. You cannot change them. Finally, one of the main differences is the ability to gain theoretical knowledge through the actual practice. This is one of the main advantage of to be a practitionist rather than being a theoretical. Why? Because while you practice, this industry, you can actually gain the theoretical knowledge. And that's what has been proven by the historically, because transportation or logistic field is a very historical field. People doesn't come up with a theory then practice. No, it was the opposite. They practice this thing and then they develop a theories to guide the future generation to develop more in this practice field. So as Ms. Mohan said, many applicants come to them, non-skilled applicants, and they accept them. And after a few years, they actually gain the theoretical knowledge required to fulfill their job or to successfully conduct their jobs. So which means that the practical field is very important. And one of the most important evidence that you can live now, after you study 3 years or 4 years in the university, you have to go for internship to practice. So that means your theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge are two faces for the same coin, which you have to acquire and you have to adjust them in order to achieve your goals. Moving on with recommendation and conclusion with my friend Durga.
As for the recommendation, for the small workforce, the operation management division is very small sector of the organization. Above is like considering the number of employees, the organization has a shortage of employees, and they having economic crisis. Many employees are being retrenched, 5% as for each department. So they should increase the labor workforce in the operation management division to maximize the operation process, which can benefit the company overall performance. As for the second point, lack of marketing expertise. As for this is a kind of where the website, they don't have a proper website. They have a lack of marketing expertise where customers can be, they can improve, and then the customer can be attracted by looking at advertisement about the company, which can be promoted by the website or social media. And the third one will be competitive advantage. In order to explain this, they should increase their competitive advantage by improving their import and export criteria, which also make their company more stable within their competitors, and also to be successful in the market. And fourth one will be upgrade service manpower performance. Emperor Logistics also need to update the parts of the company in giving a better service. For example, having more criteria where they can improve their manpower performance. As for the last part, conclusion. Okay, as for the conclusion, we have gained a better understanding on the services of the company, which they provided fully integrated with the logistic, import and export activities, and also end-to-end solution. The procedure and the process that the company handles in their international trade activities to provide end-to-end logistic. The procedure and the process that the company we have known the what are the procedure, what are the facilities, what are the process they will use in their international trade activities. And the third one will be trade facilitation needs industry good practice and business friendly regulatory environment to perform international trade, which is import and export. As a freight forwarding company, as a logistic company, they need the industry good practice and also business friendly overall in the organization, so that they can perform well in the international trade. And the last one will be the regular update of system to adapt the consistent improvement in the technology. As to say, this will be the consistent improvement of their company, and also they can remain competitive in the market as well. That's all from us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good job. Any question from the audience? Stuff. Any question from the audience? Okay, so I think it was a very comprehensive analysis and presentation. So I actually don't really have much question. In fact, I don't really have any question right now. But I can say that for those who are here as an audience, um, if you see this slide right now, it's actually a very simple one, and it is something that I would encourage you guys to do, right? Of course, if you want to make it a bit more fancy, more, you know, there's like arts, all of that. I'm okay with. It's just that I think it's sometimes is not necessary lah, right? Okay, so this is something that I think is it could be an example to other groups also. Okay, if no one have questions, I think that's all. I think we can proceed with our next group, which is group Faris. I don't think they are here. I'm not sure. Okay, no, I don't think so. Okay, so sure, no question.